Hi, it's me, Ili Sulaiman. We're back in my kitchen and today we're making something super simple and really delicious, and that's my chocolate trifle. So let's get baking! First, we're going to make a simple custard. I need some milk, so whole milk goes into my whole pan. My fire is not on yet, okay? And to that, we're going to add in some sugar and custard powder. And we're just going to give that a mix, okay? Make sure that the custard powder is diluted. So once there's no lumps, now you can turn on the fire on a medium to low. And the important part here is to keep stirring, because once it thickens up, it's very quick. So usually for this recipe, you can use any type of white chocolate, but today we're a little bit extra. So we're going to use Toblerone. What I like about Toblerone is it's got a little bit of a bite, like all the nougat in it. So we're just going to break this up into tiny pieces. So you have about 100 grams here. You're going to cook this until your custard thickens up. It usually takes around about 5 to 6 minutes before the milk heats up. And then about a minute after, it starts thickening. So our custard has really thickened up. Now we can turn off the heat. And if you don't mind your custard a little bit lumpy, that's fine, but I'm a little bit particular. So we're just going to sieve it a little bit, okay? Turn this off, and then we're just going to add a little bit at a time. And then you're just going to sieve it until there's no lumps. So once you sieve all of your custard, you can now fold it in. So the custard's hot and it's just going to melt the chocolate. Mix that all together until your chocolate's completely dissolved. And I'm just going to cover this with a little cling film because we don't want to have that icky custard layer on top. I'm just going to set it into the fridge to chill. In a pan, add in full cream milk. We're going to add in some cocoa powder, some agar powder, and some sugar. My pan isn't on. I'm just going to whisk everything together and we'll let it combine before we put on the heat. So once the milk has taken on the cocoa powder color a little bit and then the lumps have reduced, we can turn on the heat. Again, on a low to medium. So you want to cook this until the sugars and the agar has dissolved, and you want to bring it up to a slow simmer. So it'll take around about 5 minutes or so because the milk is cold. And once that's done, you can just put it straight into your mold. So get yourself a tray and put your molds on top, because these are quite flimsy if you put stuff in it and then you can't move it. And we're using agar. So agar actually hardens very quickly. So you don't need to actually put it in the fridge or anything like that. So you can just let it sit in room temperature and it will harden. Okay, so this is completely dissolved. There's no more lumps. I cannot feel any granules from the sugar. I can't see any lumps. So we can turn this off and we can gently pour our mixture into our mold. Again, with agar, you're going to be really quick because it hardens so fast. So we're going to let that sit and set for about 20 minutes or so. If you want it a little bit quicker, obviously put it in the fridge. For trifle, usually a lot of people don't actually make their own cake. But if you want, you can find a simple chocolate cake recipe from Anna Olsen, who's my friend. Or Anis Nabila, who's another friend of mine. If you're like me, you can just buy a box ready to make cake mix. Super simple to put together, and I've already done one. Super easy. If you really want to cut it short, you can also get the Swiss chocolate roll with the cream inside. That's quite nice as well because it's got a little bit of white and brown. So it's really up to you, but we definitely need some sort of cake to make a trifle. You need equal parts of sugar and water. And I'm also going to add in a little bit of coffee, so instant coffee, just to kind of elevate the chocolateness in my cake. Bring this up to a slow simmer, stir it up until it dissolves, and we're going to add in some instant coffee, about a teaspoon and a half, okay? So just mix everything together until it's combined, and then until the sugars have dissolved and it's a little bit thickened. So while we're waiting for our sugar syrup to kind of simmer, I'm just going to start portioning out. Okay, so this is cooled cake, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to roughly gauge halfway and then another half down here. And here I have my trifle jar. It's super pretty. I actually borrowed this from my neighbor. And I thank you for that, because I broke mine. So I'm just going to kind of just roughly with the back of my knife, just make an indentation so I know where to cut later. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just so you know where to cut the cake. And do the same on the other side. Our syrup is ready because it's bubbling really rapidly. We can turn that off, and then we're just going to give it a mix. The sugars have all dissolved. Very nice. Syrup needs to cool down slightly. So you need some whipping cream, obviously. So we're just going to add this to my stand mixer, and we're going to add in some caster sugar as well. And then we're going to whisk it on low and then slowly, gradually bring it up high. We're looking for soft, fluffy peaks like this. Now is to assemble. So for the bottom layer, I'm going to use Oreos. So we're just going to susun the Oreos or just layer it. Oreos give a little bit of a nice crunch to it. And I like to use a biscuit base for the bottom for two reasons. Because it's a nice crunch, but also because it absorbs a lot of the moisture. And then next, we're going to go in with our custard. So just mix it a little bit. It's a little bit more set because it's been in the fridge, but that's fine. And then we're just going to just dollop a little bit of the custard. And don't forget, okay, for the purposes of making your trifle, it's what looks on the outside that matters, okay? Next, let's go in with the cake, okay? So I've made the indent earlier. So now we just need to cut the cake and just place the cake on top, like so. The syrup that we made earlier, so that just gives a little bit of moisture. Just brush a generous amount of that syrup all over our chocolate cake. We're going to go in with a little bit of cream. Add that cream into a piping bag, like so. And then we need to just snip off our piping bag a little bit. And then what I like to do is just little dollops on the side, so there's a little bit of contrast. Okay, and then we're going to go in with our pudding. Set beautifully, and I'm just going to break it up and then just put them in between our cream there. So again, we're looking for different types of contrast, of textures and colors, and that's what makes a trifle. So now next, what we're going to do is we're going to add more cream in between these layers here, just to fill out the gaps. And then we're going to go in with more Oreos, and again layering, and then in with the cream, the custard, and then our cake. Another generous drizzle. So if you think about it, everything doesn't need to be perfect. So if your cake is a little bit wonky, or your pudding's a little bit, not set properly in a trifle, it all looks really, really good. We're going to maybe crumble a little bit of this extra cake, sprinkle it on top, and there you have it, my chocolate trifle! Sinfully good. And if you like this video and you want to watch more of Ili Sulaiman in my kitchen, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Until next time, guys.